As the cold, biting wind sweeps across the North Sea and crashes into the land, a dark, jagged silhouette tears through the morning mist. It is not a palace built for pleasure, it is a beast built for war. Welcome to Edinburgh Castle. This fortress does not sit on a hill. It sits on the plug of an ancient volcano that went extinct 350 million years ago. It is a sheer cliff of black basalt rock, rising vertically from the cobblestone streets of the city below. For centuries, this rock has been the defender of the nation. It is the Iron Belt of Scotland. Listen. Can you hear the sound of the wind howling around the battlements? It sounds like the whispers of the thousands of soldiers who lived, fought, and died on these ramparts. This is the most besieged place in Great Britain. 26 times, armies have tried to take this rock. 26 times, the walls have bled. To enter, we must pass through the Portcullis Gate. Look at the heavy iron spikes hanging above your head. This is not a welcoming entrance. It is a warning. The path winds steeply upward, twisting and turning. Every step is a struggle. This was designed so that no enemy could rush the gates. They would have to fight for every inch of ground, uphill, under fire. But once we reach the summit, the atmosphere changes. We arrive at Crown Square. Here, the rugged stone softens slightly, revealing the royal heart of the fortress. Let us step into the Great Hall. Built by King James IV in the early 16th century, this was a place of celebration before the tragedy. Look up at the roof. It is a masterpiece of hammerbeam architecture, made from giant Scottish oaks. Imagine this hall filled with the smoke of roasting meat and the sound of laughter. The walls are draped in rich tapestries, and the flicker of the fire reflects on the polished steel of swords and shields. King James IV was a Renaissance prince. He loved the arts, science, and gunnery. He built this hall to show that Scotland was not just a land of warriors, but a land of culture. But the shadow of war was never far away. Just outside, the giant cannon, Mons Meg, sits silent and heavy. This 6-ton beast could fire a Gunston for 2 miles. It was the ultimate weapon of mass destruction of its time, a symbol of the king's terrifying power. Yet, the most poignant story of Edinburgh Castle is not about cannons. It is about a mother. Walk with me into the royal palace. Enter a tiny, cramped room. It is barely a closet. The walls are thick. The window is small. Here, in this suffocating space, Mary, Queen of Scots, gave birth to her son, James. It was June 1566. She had retreated here for safety, surrounded by enemies and treacherous lords. Imagine her pain, her fear, and her fierce hope as she held that baby. That infant would grow up to become King James VI of Scotland and the first of England, uniting the two crowns forever. A new empire was born in this tiny, cold room on top of a volcano. But history here is also a game of hide and seek. Let us enter the crown room. Your eyes will be dazzled. Here lie the honors of Scotland, the crown, the scepter, and the sword of state. These are the oldest crown jewels in the British Isles. The crown is made of Scottish gold, encrusted with freshwater pearls from the country's rivers, and precious gemstones. But do you know their secret? In the 17th century, when Oliver Cromwell's army marched north to destroy the monarchy, these jewels were in grave danger. They were smuggled out of the castle, right under the noses of the enemy. They were hidden under the floorboards of a small parish church, buried in the dirt, forgotten by the world to keep them safe. For over 100 years, they were locked away in a chest in this very castle, collecting dust, presumed lost. It was the writer Sir Walter Scott who finally obtained permission to break open the chest in 1818. Imagine the moment the lid was lifted, and the gold glinted in the torchlight, confirming that Scotland's soul was still intact. And right next to the crown sits a rough block of sandstone. The Stone of Destiny. It looks ordinary. It is battered. It is scarred. But for centuries, no King of Scots could be crowned without sitting upon this ancient rock. It has traveled from biblical lands, to Ireland, to Scotland, to London, and finally, back home. It is the silent witness to the rise and fall of dynasties. As the sun begins to set, casting a deep purple hue over the city of Edinburgh below, the lights of the castle turn on, turning the fortress into a floating island of gold in the night sky. Every day, at exactly 1 o'clock, the 1 o'clock gun fires from the ramparts. A puff of smoke, a thunderous boom that startles the tourists and checks the watches of the locals. It is a heartbeat, a reminder that the castle is still alive. Edinburgh Castle is not just a museum. It is a symbol of resilience. Like the volcano it sits upon, the spirit of this place is forged in fire and pressure. It teaches us that true strength does not come from gold or velvet. It comes from the ability to endure, to stand firm against the wind, against the siege, and against the passage of time. It stands as a guardian of memory, watching over the capital, just as it has done for 1,000 years. Thank you for climbing the rock with me today. I hope you felt the power of the stone and the whispers of the past. If you were moved by the rugged beauty of Scotland, please subscribe to our channel. There are many more legends to uncover, many more castles to explore. Until we meet again, in the next chapter of our journey through history. Goodbye.